The day my children left me at the nursing home, my daughter kissed my cheek and said, "Mom, you'll be safe here." Then they got into the car and drove away. I stood by the window and watched them disappear. That was the moment I realized something painful. They weren't coming back anytime soon. At first, I tried to understand. Life is busy. People have responsibilities. I told myself, they'll visit soon. But days passed, then weeks, then months, and the silence became louder than anything else. The nursing home was not what I expected. From the outside, it looked clean and peaceful. But inside, it was different. The staff were always in a hurry. Some were kind, but others were not. There was one care worker. Her name was Karen, and from the very first day, I felt something was wrong. One evening, I pressed the call button beside my bed. My back was hurting badly. 10 minutes passed. No one came. I pressed it again. Finally, the door opened. Karen stood there with an annoyed look on her face. "What now?" she said. "My back hurts," I whispered. "Could you help me sit up?" She rolled her eyes. "You people press this button for everything." Then she grabbed my arm roughly and pulled me up. The pain shot through my shoulder, but I stayed quiet. Because I had already learned something. If you complained, she became worse. That night, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Not because of the pain, but because of the fear. I wasn't afraid of getting older. I wasn't afraid of being alone. I was afraid of being somewhere where no one truly cared, and my children had no idea, because they never visited. 2 months passed like that. 2 long, quiet months. Then one night, Karen said something that changed everything. I had pressed the call button again. She came into the room, irritated. Then she looked at me and said, "If your children actually cared about you, they wouldn't have left you here." Her words hit me deeply because part of me wondered if she was right. That night, I made a decision. If my children were too busy to care about me now, then they didn't deserve to care about my money later. The next morning, I called my lawyer. "Mr. Harris," I said, "I need to change my will." There was silence on the line. Then he asked carefully, "Are you sure?" "Yes," I said. "For the first time in my life, I'm sure." 2 days later, he came to see me. We sat in a small room with a wooden table. He placed the documents in front of me. "If you sign this," he said, "everything changes." I looked at the paper. My children's names were no longer there. Instead, my savings would go to a charity that supports elderly people, and to someone who had shown me kindness. I picked up the pen, and I signed. 3 days before the changes became official, something unexpected happened. The receptionist knocked on my door. "Mrs. Carter, you have a visitor." I already knew who it was, my son, Mark. He stood in the visitor's room, looking uncomfortable. "Hi, Mom." "Hello, Mark." He didn't waste time. "I heard you called your lawyer." "Yes. Why would you do that?" I looked at him quietly. "Why did you leave me here and forget about me?" He sighed. "Mom, we're busy." Busy, that word again. Then he asked the real question. "Did you really change the will?" "Yes." His face changed immediately. "That's not fair." I almost smiled. "Not fair? For years I gave you everything. And now I'm unfair?" He rubbed his forehead. "You're overreacting." That was the moment I understood something clearly. He still didn't see it. He still didn't see me. So I stood up. "You should go, Mark." He looked shocked. "You're serious?" "Yes." And for the first time in his life, I chose myself. What Mark didn't know was that someone had heard everything. Karen. A few days later, something unexpected happened. An inspector from the state arrived at the nursing home. They had received complaints about staff behavior, about neglect, about mistreatment. For the first time, I told the truth, not just for myself, but for everyone there. Karen was fired within a week. The nursing home changed. The staff became more careful, more respectful, more human. A month later, my lawyer came back. "It's official," he said. "The will is finalized." I nodded. "Good." He smiled. "Your son called me." I wasn't surprised. What did he say? He wanted to fix things. I looked out the window. The sky was bright, peaceful. "He should have done that before," I said. 3 months later, I moved out, not back to my old house, but to a peaceful place where people actually cared. I made friends. I started painting again. I started living again. My son never came back, but I stopped waiting. Because I had learned something important. Love should never feel like a transaction, and respect should never come too late. Today, I am at peace, not because my life is perfect, but because I finally chose myself. And sometimes, that is the most powerful decision a person can make. If this story touched you, tell me in the comments. What would you have done in her place?